Hey everybody, welcome to No Story is Sacred. We're four siblings who are raised by working freelance authors. And when you have a big family with two parents who are full-time writers, the craft of writing basically becomes a family business. We grew up talking about the art of storytelling, and now that we're adults, we're still talking about it, and we're inviting you to join in the conversation. I'm Brendan. I'm actually trained as an engineer.
I'm Kat, and I'm the oldest, and I like robots.
I'm Alex. I like starships.
I'm Pippin, and I'm a librarian, so I do research for fun and profit.
Today we're talking about a plot Kat created using a random tropes generator. If you want specific content warnings, check out the show notes on nostoryyssacred.com. The full synopsis is up on the website, but the elevator pitch for this story is that a girl's coming of age gets interrupted by her people's deity suddenly coming back. And, well, whoops, he's actually a spaceman and their religion is just a cargo cult. And now our heroine is stuck balancing science, her faith, and the destruction of everything she holds dear by leaders who won't accept either.
In case you didn't look at the website and are unaware of what we're doing this week, we are looking at one of my Kat's plots that I made up out of a trope generator, out of the evil overlord plot generator, as a matter of fact, which we will link to in the transcript and probably show notes. And so I generated a plot out of
thin air.
Out of thin air. You know, those lists, there's these lists of, things that the evil overlord would not do or that you shouldn't do, like tips for the future. The Nielsen Haydens, who we will link to, put together a generator that just randomly throws those up, and part of the game is that whatever comes up, you have to use those elements to make a plot. You can't just flip over and over again to get a different combination that you like. So, so I'll also include the ones that I got, on the website, but,
do you happen to remember off the top of your head what they were, or just like the gist?
Oh, God.
Because I honestly don't know.
Oh, gee whiz. I can't, do we
want to know before? Do we want to know it before we deal with the story?
That's a good question.
Okay, yeah, let's see if we can guess afterwards, huh?
Or you can see what went into the synopsis and what never made it. Okay. So definitely people who are listening now, if you get the opportunity, go onto the website, read the synopsis, that I put together, because otherwise this might not make a lot of sense. But who cares? We're funny people.
If we do say so of ourselves.
If we do say so of ourselves.
I make no promises about myself.
I'm hilarious. I'm the funniest. I'll say it straight out.
Funniest looking. Wah.
Maybe erase that particular little bit of vaingloriousness from me.
But then we won't get Brent's great burn.
Yeah. Great is an overstatement there. Okay.
We need the setup for the pitch.
Okay. So let me see if I can come up with
In a world.
I would say that it is a coming of age story that is a pseudo fantasy, but it's actually science fiction about a young girl coming to grips with her community and becoming a savior figure. What? Yes, her community and her faith, and becoming a savior figure. That sounds interesting, doesn't it?
Well,
this is why authors shouldn't be allowed to come up with their own summaries.
And the story spoke highly of the author, and my God, it changed the world.
The great American novel, it did sell quite a bit. So what do you guys
Sold
think?
over 4 copies. What?
1, 2, 3 siblings?
That means the fourth one is the real fan.
Ooh.
It's the one I bought for myself.
That's what I was thinking.
Oh.
I was going to let you have it.
So, aw, thank you. All right, so what do you guys think? How does that fit into your idea of summary?
It's kind of close to the vibe I was getting when I was reading it.
Yeah.
Your science fiction fantasy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, I always like that trick. I always like that trick where you're like, oh yeah, this is totally a fantasy novel. Psych! No, it's not. Womp womp.
It's actually in the future.
What? It's a different planet. There's 5 moons, did I not tell you?
It seems like it would also be an original series episode, which is just kind of funny given what we talked about last week.
To be fair, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. It would be like a, like one of those, if you were taking, one of the characters from an original series episode, like one of the aliens, and diving into their life.
Yeah, so the guy was Kirk?
No, I mean, not officially, but fuck it, you want to make it Kirk? The guy would have
been like Yeoman Smith for how much he fucked up.
I know, I fucked up, me,
Kirk is the second guy who comes in.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
The first guy is like, I don't know, one of the dudes from the Cochrane or something like that.
Well, let me just explain, the first guy versus second guy.
Please do.
I guess, in reading the synopsis, the full thing's again on the website. It'll be, just in the show notes or whatever. So, as Kat mentioned, part of the, conceit, is that the proper way to say it?
Sure, fuck it.
Part of the setup of the story is that you've got this, ancient culture that's been making, like I guess I would say altars and talismans and all that, very precisely for thousands of years. Turns out, plot twist, and we're just gonna ruin the plot twist right now.
How dare you?
Said altars and talismans were actually high-tech devices that a, alien or whatever, spaceman, left on the planet when he crashed there the first time and instructed people how to make them so that that guy could call home, but never succeeded. Fast forward several, was it 100 years, thousands of years?
I'd say, let's give it hundreds, but I don't know. How did that work out? You think thousands would be, you know what, you're not wrong.
You said thousands, but I'm not sure if that makes sense.
Here's the thing. So one of my big, I'm going to say it, bulletproof kinks. One of my big bulletproof kinks is the idea of the folk process, about folklore, about how stories change, and so on. And so I love I throw that in wherever I possibly can. And so my idea was that he would teach, the group that was near him how to make, based on their primitive technology, something that would be a radio. And as, after he died and as time goes on, it changes. Maybe instead of using, I don't know, crystals to make radio signals, they're like, oh, we're gonna use clay,
pipes.
Clay pipes. 'Cause that totally works. Looks the same thing. The original purpose of the items gets,
lost.
Exactly. Except for our hero's, tiny little weirdo sect, which, remains the closest to the original landing site. But due to the passages of time and so forth, they are now considered a heresy. Because we all know that these, magic talismans are supposed to be made out of clay and
largely ceremonial.
Are largely for ceremonial purposes. Exactly.
Only.
Exactly. And then I want to throw in a little bit of the Inquisition, which people think, when they think the Inquisition, they think, no one expects the Spanish Inquisition. But historically, it was, the church's attempt to, let's all make sure we follow the same religion, and then maybe they killed people. But
what was this society's Council of Nicaea?
See, oh my god, what a great question.
Well.
Holy shit. Wait. Should we tell people what the Council of Nicaea is? Pippin, tell it.
So this one time, right? A while back, Catholics had no fucking clue what they all believed.
Was God one god or three gods? Or just
one
two?
God, three gods,
8
three people
gods.
in one.
Should cheese somehow be an important part of our religion?
And it turned out not to be, and really, I'm disappointed.
I mean, they settled on crackers.
But they kept the wine.
Ooh, true.
Womp womp.
And so everybody, all the church elders, I guess, got together to decide, okay, what is our core beliefs? And they came up with the Nicene Creed, which is a sort of core tenet of Roman Catholicism.
Yeah. And then you learned that Santa Claus punched out another pub to make it a trinity.
Yeah, he did. Thank you, St. Nicholas. He's the true Christmas miracle, punching out other dudes. Anyway, so yeah, at some point in this culture's history, there was probably a Council of Nicaea, which is hilarious. And frankly, I'm a little disappointed in myself. I kind of wonder whether or not that would be, maybe that's like a prequel. I made some
notes to that effect.
Ooh.
Someone took notes.
Notes.
Yep.
The Church of the Rando Guy.
Anyway, so yeah, a big part of my thing is trying to get this, a degraded, signal, as it were. But go on, guys. Keep telling me more about my stuff.
I was trying to figure out if it would be YA or adult fiction.
Well,
I'd skew towards YA just because it's a coming-of-age story.
Yeah.
I mean, that much is obvious.
And it has,
and plus I just really like YA.
Yeah, and it's, girl will do it, and,
awesome STEM stuff.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, she does. Also,
But sorry, I stepped on you, Al.
That's okay.
Though I'd like to point out that girls doing STEM is not necessarily a YA thing and should be an everyone thing.
Here. But that was what part of my idea was, getting, when I started doing my plot noodling, you start with, okay, who's your hero? And then you can start with, what are your basic facts about them? And so I started, like, the very first sentence of my, trying to work the synopsis was, okay, step one, you have a girl. And then from there you build out her family and all this stuff like that. Now, to be fair, that is very gender binary, but that's where we are on this one. Didn't have to be, but that's just where we turned out. I didn't want to have a dude.
Ew, dudes.
Dudes are okay. They just weren't right for my story.
No. Dude, it's ruined everything.
Well, Space Dude clearly did.
Yeah. Oh, well, Space Dude. You're right. I did make the idiots all guys.
I noticed that.
Oh, I didn't.
So, go on.
Anyway. But what else? As our heroine comes of age, she has a knack for, building these talismans, these altars and talismans is kind of the conceit that I was altering a little bit at it. I hate having MacGuffins be called MacGuffins even in my notes.
I'm sitting there being like, let's just say what they are. Boom. It was the nice thing about writing summaries, synopses for yourself, outlines essentially, is you can save the pretty stuff for later. Like, at the moment, get down the basic moves and the basic pretty, like the big set pieces.
Here's one of the big kind of conceit changes I worked in early on.
Do it.
Was, I decided to change it from just a radio. Mm-hmm. It's not just an altar MacGuffin thingy. It's actually three things. Mm-hmm. So the altar is actually a, computer control setup.
Yeah.
Nice.
And the talismans would be the radios like we mentioned before in the original synopsis. Mm-hmm. But then the third thing is to address exactly that, Inquisition and why these struggles happened in the first place ages ago. And that was, in the Spaceman's terms, more or less an energy lance, a laser, weapons, that kind of thing. So originally, after the Spaceman dies, what's this primitive culture going to do? They're going to keep on doing what he told them to. It's like, oh, hey, this computer controls the radio, and hey, this laser is relatively easy to make, and wow, we can shoot things with it. Cool.
Nice.
And what starts as like a great war, not great in the, awesome war, neat.
But like the Great War.
Yeah. So that's why this, kind of cultural schism happened who knows, 1,000 or so years ago, because they almost all killed each other because they had this tech. So that's why the mainline religion barred exact reproductions, because, they're not foolish. It served a purpose. So, and then due to the ravages of history and mythology and all that, over time, it just becomes the way it is. The original purpose is lost.
Yeah.
But you have this one particular group, the tribe that our heroine is based out of, is doing the exact reproductions. Maybe not doing the energy lances. That's maybe why they've survived for so long. Otherwise, they would have been wiped the F out. But they're trying to do faithful reproductions, and the thing that our heroine ends up...
Sorry, go on.
But the thing that our heroine, I think, figures out, because she has a knack for this shit, is that the altar and talisman, the radio and computer, more or less got their designs mishmashed together. And because she's essentially exceedingly bright for anybody in that story. I mean,
well, I
gotta love that kind of character.
Well, I also wanted to realize that, after a couple thousand years, probably they're no longer as primitive as they previously were.
Of course.
So it's one of those instances of simultaneous evolution, or, when two different people from two different areas completely come up with the same fucking idea. And it's like, it was just going to happen eventually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the idea I was working with, was like, that's like some key backstory. The reason why would an Inquisition be really hell-bent on finding these people and stamping them out? Because to them, it's about survival. I mean, it's always about survival, at least to have like armed people come and try and kill you. Because they aren't going to go and kill an entire village for fun.
Well, for power.
Well, okay, so I agree with you. I think that that's great. My question is, do any of us know what the actual Inquisition, like what they were doing? Like what was the, I feel like it goes a little bit back to what we were talking about last time with the, once you get power, you kind of want to keep it, or increase it. But on the other hand, you know what? Reality's stupid. Story should make more sense. So I like what you've done here. I think that that's very, and I hadn't considered that. I was still trying to come up with any conflict at all.
Conflict. Wait, Al, you were about to say something?
Well, actually, piggybacking off of what your thing, about how different insects have gotten different things. I'm thinking that the main insect having the temples, which are actually the giant dish arrays.
Oh, that's hot.
Yeah, and so, cause ham radio isn't really going to go all the way out to space. But hook
can't stop the signal now.
But hook that up to that grand shining temple with that big circular disc of meaning. And
the halo in the sky.
Yes. Ooh, yes.
That actually sounds a little bit like, there was, in the beginning of the outline, I had a bunch of, she's part of the creche, whatever. I had a whole bunch of her town go off to proselytize, which caused the problem with everybody showing up and people realizing where they lived. I'm wondering whether or not that needs to get cut entirely so that the heroine can go take her magic machine to the center city.
Yeah.
To hook up to these things.
I almost think that's better, because then that supplies a potential character arc tying to what Al's mentioning there. Cause maybe, cause she's a smart cookie, but maybe with that intelligence, smart characters can do silly things. I mean, just because they're intelligent doesn't mean they can't make stupid mistakes. Yeah. And usually that involves being arrogant as fuck.
Yeah.
Yes.
Hubris.
Also, it gets her into the conflict rather than she fucks off into the woods.
That's an excellent point. And also there's the problem of there's this big city where shit is going down, but we're never going there.
Yeah.
It's happening over there. Don't worry about that. We're gonna stay in the woods.
There's something exciting happening over there. Don't worry about it.
Don't worry.
Yes, okay. Cool explosions.
Shh. Doesn't matter. Shh. We shouldn't be paying attention to it anyway. We're very busy staring at this thing for 40 pages.
Gosh, maybe one of the legends amongst these people is like the exact landing coordinates, because that ties into part 2 of your story, where after the heroine reverse engineers radios and this computer equipment, maybe a signal gets out and someone was listening. And what happens next? Like the Spaceman, like a
Kirk,
Major Kirk or Major Tom. Hears the signal and lands down and meets our heroine, right?
Yeah.
Well, okay. So you bring up 2 things. First, there's, okay, I can't remember the first one, but the second one is, that, you say that there's a part 1 and a part 2. I'm actually wondering, is that a bit clunky? Should I have that part 1 and part 2? Should I start with part 2?
No, I think establishing backstory, it's key to be able to establish this as a primitive world, because then you have that inverting the fantasy tropes on their head because of the sci-fi all along. Yeah.
It's just that I happen to know, based on my previous history of making up synopses, that I do tend to have like these backstory things that turn into the first half of the book, and then there's the second half. And I have been told in the past, that's my cat, by the way, I don't know if you can hear him. I have been told in the past that, I should be starting my story in the second part and make everything else backstory. Well, however,
the in media res.
What? Yeah, which I thought is what I was starting with, because it's the coming of age ceremony where she's going to go off to be adult and do adult things like making radios. Making radios for our god.
Well, we already cut out the proselytizing bit.
Yeah.
True. I think that was a leftover of me trying to give her some sort of emotional,
connection.
Yeah, some sort of emotional whatever, and then I decided I didn't care.
Well, what's nice is that tying into Al's bit there with the cities having the Great Arrays or whatever.
Oh, good name. The Great Arrays?
Yeah, and Pip had, Pip's Sky Halo thing was good.
Oh, that's very good too, yeah. Good names, guys.
Man, it seems like this space guy made like a lot of good progress up until he died of old age.
Yeah, well
he was there for a while.
It's like his story must have been just fucking sad.
Well, here's what I'm thinking. Right?
Go.
He's also exploitative, but yeah.
Oh, yeah.
He's also exploitative.
Well, it's cargo cult. It's a fucking cargo cult,
Colonialism is bad? What?
This is all a parable about the Prime Directive all over again. Yeah.
You couldn't get it out of your head.
But what I was thinking was, they all make these radios, right? And I think you guys are suggesting that her, sect or whatever, makes the same radios as were made back then.
Oh,
but I was thinking, that, over time it changes. So.
Not just uselessly, but actually usefully.
So the radio wouldn't even work anymore for its intended purpose, but what if she finds the holy books, the manual, and his space logs?
Maybe she fixes the computer.
Iconography, like fucking manual, like those what do you call those spec drawings, specs as schematics as iconography.
Holy shit! Imagine if their entire art system, like, what if? Oh my god!
Oh,
like the way in I can't even come up with how we use crosses and in like everything. It's like now just art or whatever. Like imagine that. Like imagine if their entire art thing. So she's wandering around with the pattern on her clothes. The stuff that's been sewn in because that's just what's popular and that's what people do. This entire time, it's been clues to this whole thing.
Maybe she has a friend who's a linguist.
Are they cunning?
I was going to say girlfriend who's a linguist, but I was like,
Hey, I didn't touch any romantic aspect at all. I was just working on the, how do I get people to have explosions?
Booberry.
I did want to have some playful banter happening, at least between the heroine and the Kirk analog that lands later.
Yeah. Well, I think that's a good idea. And to fair, I was sort of thinking that.
Well, cause I think, it doesn't have to be romance, cause I think, what I'm almost picturing is a slightly more playful, adversarial, I don't know, rivalish? I don't know.
Oh, so maybe like the Doctor and Donna?
Maybe. Well, cause here's the thing. I'm thinking Spaceman 2, Electric Boogaloo.
That's the title. Now we know.
Oh no.
That's the episode title. Now we know.
Yes. We did it. Well, cause I'm thinking his character flaw is assuming that just because these people haven't made spaceflight yet, that they are totally stupid, ignorant savages and is clearly smarter.
So John Smith from Pocahontas.
John Smith from Pocahontas?
Yeah.
Actually, Brent, you got that right on the nail on the head. That was exactly one of the things I wanted to talk about. And I'm glad that either my synopsis led you to that or you came up with it separately. Because spot on. That's one of the things that really annoys me about Western imperialism is that we do have this, idea that we are the bestest because we came up with guns first or something. Or syphilis.
Guns that shoot syphilis.
Don't give us that idea.
I think that the Spanish already came up with that. Yeah, I'm very glad you brought that up. It's something that I really wanted to bring in there. And if you guys think that that's still something worth keeping, that's awesome.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
My specific note was there is a lot of room for fun banter.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. To my point of, the fact that the altar itself is a computer, when you think about it, if she's able to reverse engineer like freaking computers and radios, she's probably smarter than any pilot that lands.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. All right. So let me ask you guys a couple questions.
Shoot.
So, first of all, what do you think of that set piece at the end where there's a big standoff and suddenly she fucking comes out of the woods with with the space shuttle? I like the image, but I'm concerned about how to get it there. Whose POV is it? How do we get the setup? I like the image, but you see my issue?
It seemed bigger than the rest of the story, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Also, it came out kind of nowhere.
Literally.
It escalated too fast.
Okay.
Well,
I'm not sure if that makes sense.
It could be hidden beneath the temple city.
Okay.
That'd be kind of cool.
Well, the city gets built around it.
Yeah.
But go on.
The thing I was kind of torn with was the way you can kind of have that same set piece potentially happen is the spaceman is being paraded around as if, he were a god. But then you have that typical trope of the liar revealed or whatever. The inquisitors are going oh, you're a god? Do your magic. Haha. Oh, you weren't a god after all. Now we must kill you.
You're just a dude.
Like in Road to El Dorado.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, this is secretly just a Road to El Dorado story.
Well, it's secretly just a Disney story because I was also thinking that the relationship between the spaceman and the girl, who we should probably name at some point, is actually just Moana and The Rock.
The Rock.
His name, I forgot his name.
Maui.
And A Hard Place.
Wow. That was a children's film, Brendan. My God.
Maui?
It was Maui.
Yeah. Well, to the point I was finishing just real quick.
Yeah, God Pip.
Basically, he's about to get frickin' destroyed, killed, whatever. And maybe gets the little blip on the communicator just in time, and it's one to beam up or tractor beam up or whatever. Mm-hmm. So you have that scene play out where he gets like shot by a sky beam into the sky and he's taken up to the main ship. Mm-hmm. But I'm thinking that doesn't solve the holy war that's about to start. Yeah. And that's when the heroine has the brilliant idea of like, wait, this guy landed on a shuttlecraft mm-hmm. and then hijacks his shuttlecraft because maybe over the course of the story, she actually paid attention and, paid attention to how he opened the doors mm-hmm. and did other things on the ship. And then maybe that's how, like, she goes over to the shuttlecraft, commandeers it, kind of like the set piece you pointed out toward the end of the story mm-hmm. there, commandeers it, flies it over to the Inquisitor's, like, front lines or whatever, and cues up the microphone saying, I am the angry god. You have killed my avatar. Now you shall be destroyed.
Well, go on.
No, I feel like she needs to, raise them up, not like threaten of destruction, but, I come bearing, seeds of knowledge.
Enlightenment.
And all of that.
Okay, so what I was a little concerned about there is that it was turning into a wizard behind the curtain. Because once she's done with that, she's gonna have to keep doing that. But
that's true.
But like on the one hand, that's a setup for a sequel, where she's been preparing all this time to be like, well, I know that we're apparently quote unquote not civilized enough to join the space shit, but I know that it's up there, so she's been working all this time. But that's like sequel territory. You have to finish your book. I'm a little concerned that Spaceman shows up, Spaceman buggers off again. Where's the closure there?
I'm thinking, well, first you have to resolve the impending destruction of her village because she's not going to bugger off and chase after the Spaceman while the village is in immediate peril.
Yeah, no, the ending that I put was very weak, which is why I'm really glad that we're talking about it.
So, like, I don't know, just something to at least put a cork in the Inquisitors up until maybe just the fact that she's able to commandeer a spaceship at all and fly it into Atmo and, I don't know, trigger the comma rays maybe all across the planet because she's in orbit now, so she actually has line of sight to, like, maybe that was the key thing that the old Spaceman couldn't figure out, right, was we have all the comma rays built, but due to limitations of materials and who knows what else, couldn't get the signal out far enough and died of old age before he could maybe get his shuttlecraft working to the point where it could get past Atmo. Yeah. So maybe that's the secret sauce there. Maybe it's like she flies up.
I was thinking maybe there's a weird orbit involved of the planet, so it has to be in a certain spot before it can send the signal out.
Oh yeah, it could be like getting real Star Trek in there, or real Game of Thrones. Isn't that the issue with the planet that they're on, with the long winters and so on? It's like a really fucking weird.
I'm not sure it's ever really properly explained, other than magic.
It's magic.
But then you can get when the stars align, the gods will return.
Or what if she becomes like a living avatar? Can we make an avatar type? Can we add that to the religion? Since there was a central dude.
He died. We are waiting for his return.
Well, that's getting a little Jesus-y. What?
Well, we can kind of go for the Buddhist approach where it's maybe that's the kind of new unified religion or whatever that she ends up creating, is this approach of self-enlightenment to be able to literally get to the heavens because she ascends up and blah.
Well, I'm just wondering if maybe instead of so it's a religion, right? This has all become a religion. Who is running the religion? When the book starts, who is running the religion?
The cities, the Inquisitors. The ones that barred all the faithful reproductions.
Well, I mean, the problem is that, again, a real life Inquisition, they were the arm of a main thing.
Oh, yeah. Planet Pope, pretends like they don't kill people, but, it's the greater good.
So important. Well, because if you fuck up, if you mess up the religion, then you're not helping the god come back. So you have to be having the religion in this particular way. It's the wrong way.
Well, because they don't think they're the bad guys.
Exactly.
That's important. Like, there's a very good historical reason why they said you cannot do it like that. Maybe they found some writing of the ancient space dude saying, "Hey, don't go killing each other. What the hell, guys?"
Well, what if okay, so first Spaceman was working with this culture, was trying to, or with at least a small group of these people, was trying to get his act together. Surely out of that group, there must have been at least one clever person. So, when this guy...
Power.
Yeah, so when this guy, he's the one who ends up being sort of like the foreman over everybody else. And then when our spaceman dies, well...
He becomes the high priest.
Exactly. And then that scientific quote-unquote knowledge gets passed down. And so it becomes an avatar situation. Or this is the person who knows the true word of our God.
Oh, so our heroine kind of takes that from current high priest, maybe?
Yes, because the proof is in the pudding in their religion. Can you make this, can you make the science happen? If you make the science happen, guess what? You're the one with the direct line to God, as it were. Now she knows about the man behind the curtain, although, and that's when you have to start balancing faith versus, science. But that's a good thing to sort of to end the book, to put pause on. And then 30 years later, we have the next part.
Well, because I think it depends on how pragmatic she is, right? Because she could probably be well aware that, hey, you can't go upheave everybody's core beliefs overnight. You gotta ease it in. Otherwise, holy wars happen and everybody dies. Or not everybody, a lot of people die.
Well, she can, keep her faith if joining the alliance kind of translate it into ascending into the realm of the gods.
Actually, you could even think that she could be like, "Yep, the spaceman was just a dude from space. That's true, but he also brought us all of our technology, and so maybe there was a greater purpose." Blah blah blah.
Yeah, she can have a rant about prosperity or something like that, because maybe that was one of the side benefits and the reason why this space dude got, elevated so high was maybe brought in other advances, because say I'm imagining the space dude, as we're talking about the person more, was like a space pirate or something like that, so came to this neck of the woods to hide or something like that. This is all in...
Does he have booty?
Yeah,
maybe.
He do.
Oh.
Can you imagine if he had a whole bunch of random bullshit?
Oh, maybe. So this could be, examining the second space character. The reason why he was in that neck of the woods in the first place, or she, whatever,
Space treasure hunt
it's space treasure hunt, maybe not even part of the Federation. It's like, I've heard that there was this ship that crashed, somewhere in this neck of the galaxy eons ago, and it's incredibly rare ore now, and maybe that's something that is decorating a lot of these altars or whatever. It's like unobtainium or something.
Well, not just that, but that turns it, the second space, that turns Kirk into a feat of clay situation. Where she's like, well, clearly you're the second coming or what have you, and then, there's the grim reality, which is that, no, this is just an asshole looking for treasure.
He's a douchebag.
Exactly. This is, Han Solo is suddenly showing up, but pre-Star Wars.
Wait, which one is the pirate?
The pirate was the first guy.
Alright, so the second guy is...
treasure hunter.
Okay.
it's going to be the guy from the movie Titanic. You know, at the beginning, he's an asshole. In the end, he's learned an important lesson about love and history.
You know, that would also explain a couple of extra things. So, it would explain why he's cool with pretending to be a god. Because, hey, trying to find this treasure. Also explains.
Because they don't have a Prime Directive.
No, of course not. Fuck that noise. Prime Directive, that's silly. It's just usually not worth the effort to interact with the, pre-warp cultures.
With the animals on the planet.
Oh, oof. Yeah. Oh, maybe that could be his kind of racist tendencies.
This isn't a story about colonialism.
Nope.
Yeah.
What?
And it solves his investment in the, entire thing, yeah.
Yeah. But also why maybe he brought a shuttlecraft down in the first place, because if I'm trying to haul a whole bunch of treasure, I'm going to be bringing something down that can bring it back up. I mean, maybe that transport beam is only useful for like one person-sized target at a time. So like he calls himself back up to the ship if like the Holy War thing gets too hairy.
I'm thinking that, you know, whatever happens with the treasure hunter, the conflict happens, and then resolves itself how it's going to resolve itself. And then she takes her place as the head of the religion, so that she could do all the stuff. But now that she knows that there's more out there, you know, it can't be just their dead god and that douchebag. There's two of them. There's two of them. There has to be more. She's going to take her people to the realm of the gods.
Good second book title.
Realm of the Gods. So we already have the sequel
that's also
title.
a Tamora Pierce book. It's called In the Realm of the Gods.
Yeah.
Whatever.
I'm sorry.
Look, the realm of the... Well, fuck you. I'm taking it. Now we know. Okay, so yeah, you're right, Brent. As we're busily planning out like the whole series.
Well, we got a plan for the trilogy, right? Yeah, duologies are for suckers. Forget that.
Standalone first book and then a trilogy.
Yeah. And really the third book is them versus the Galactic Federation and being douchebags.
Oh, of course.
Naturally. That's a very good point. Oh, and she's getting old. Maiden Mother Crone.
What? Nice.
What? Oh my god. What a great setup. If I do say so myself.
So does the treasure hunter stay at the end of the story?
I'm thinking
she chases off after him. Or does he fuck off?
I think he's fucked off and she's like, no, he's up there. So is everybody else. I'm gonna kick some ass in the realm of the gods.
Well,
that trickster god thinks that he is gonna pull one over on me.
Nice. Wouldn't it be great, actually, if she's like, you know what if they just don't make not the realization, but what if there's just no acceptance of that these are just regular people? Like, no, these are the gods genuinely coming down and they're fucking assholes the way the Greek gods were, you know? So like, we as a reading audience are like, no, these are just douchebag spacemen.
Space douchebags.
Space douchebag. But in the parlance, in the viewpoint of the main characters, these are like, you know, these are gods, like legit gods, but on the Greek model. And our heroine is somebody who is going to be one of those people who goes and steals fire from them.
Man, the mythology of this planet's going to be really weird. Like another 1,000 years from this point.
Oh yeah.
Hello, we did discover space travel before cars.
Well, you know what? That's a fun thing you could do too. I mean, frankly, when we get into the mother portion of the series,
Mother of Invention.
Oh my god. So let's say that they've hit the Victorian Industrial Revolution.
But with extra space gadgets?
Extra space gadgets. More steam. Oh my god, it's steampunk fantasy.
No.
What?
Let's put a bunch of
it's
random...
still about colonialism. Still.
Much like steampunk in general is.
Or
we need to put a bunch of random gears on crap on everything.
That's because the gods told us to. What?
Oof.
What? Technically, oh my god, you guys, technically this first book is like is like medieval steampunk. They're putting a whole bunch of circuits on their fucking clothes.
So it's medieval punk. Huh.
It's medieval punk.
Medieval
Oh my god. New genre, guys. New genre.
Sweet.
Oh, we're just so good.
We need to make, this is now a shared universe.
Cyber fantasy?
Ooh.
Wait, what? Say again?
Cyber fantasy.
Oh my god, what a great title. Not title, but, great fantasy, genre name.
There we
I feel
go.
like there has to be cyber fantasy already. I feel like that's a thing.
I feel like that's gonna be
but we don't just have that
fairy
word.
hackers. I think it's like the fairy hackers or the fairy NASCAR drivers.
I would not trust a fairy in a NASCAR. They would fuck everyone over.
Okay, true story. That actually is a reference to a real book. I believe it's by Mercedes Lackey.
Oh.
You know what? I still don't trust them.
I may or may not have worked on that book at one point in its life. And I never read it again. So
fun fact, there's actually a weird circle of off-color grass in the lawn outside my apartment. It's like a darker green than everything else. And I very carefully avoid it.
Good girl.
Because I do not,
Smart.
I do not need to be kidnapped by fairies today. Thank you.
No.
Have you left?
You're unprepared. You gotta get your backpack together, man.
Yeah.
Do you leave gifts for it?
We don't have any Rowan in America. We don't have any What are you gonna do?
I don't know.
Do you leave gifts near it?
I
Don't leave gifts near it.
Yeah, no, then they might think they're welcome here.
Exactly.
God, I need some cold iron.
If I visit you, Pip, I'll have to make agreements and stuff like that, shaking hands over that spot then, right? No?
Okay, do not do that. Someone might
I do
take
not
that
want
there.
the fairies involved in anything.
Yeah, no, don't bring them in. They're assholes too. Their rules are very different. I feel like, you have to have like a non-aggression Cold War thing going on with them. You don't pay attention to them. Hopefully, pray God, they do not pay attention to you.
To that point, if we kind of go back to the cyber fantasy genre here,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
you could have little voice recordings and stuff like that, and that's just the voice of the fairies or something,
What if it's also been incorporated in their, okay, so how much do you know about medieval liturgical music?
Not enough, and I feel like that's letting down a lot of our friends that I don't know.
I'm disappointed in you as a person.
I know.
I watched that video with you, and I know about how about the singing meant to make the noise between the notes.
Yes, the God note. I'm just bandying about the idea of how cool would it be if a lot of these sort of voice recordings got incorporated into their notion of music.
What if their hymns is the sound of the computers connecting to the internet?
Their hymns are modems? Okay. So, alright, so it sounds like, okay, let me see if I can not summarize per se, but sort of almost come up with a checklist here. Things that need to be done with this story. If I were to actually write it.
Of course.
Or if any of us were, whatever. There needs to be a full workup of the religion currently.
Mm-hmm.
A full workup of what it was or whatever in the beginning before the space pirate showed up. Including all of the... I kind of feel like there has to be a full ship's manifest. I need to know what the culture is working with. And then from there, figure out how to randomize it to a certain degree to figure out where it would be 1,000 years later. Because that's where your plot's going to come from. That's where you're going to pull out. And that's also where you're going to pull out details about their day-to-day lives now. If you figure out where they came from, you can... populate their cities in the right way and have the right kind of grain that they're making, which tells you the kind of food they're eating. Blah, blah, blah. Stuff like that. World building.
Oh, yeah. There's a lot of world building that has to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it has to have both religion and the science. There needs to be a clear idea of what the science is. So world building is is something that's not unfamiliar to fantasy and science fiction. And I think it is one of the things that needs to be most strongly addressed.
Yeah, of course.
Almost simultaneous to how you're writing. Having the synopsis where it's okay, these are the things that I should be figuring out along the way. but maybe not before I start writing. Just, keeping a list of things that I don't know as I'm writing. Because if you're attempting to be a productive writer, you can't just spend all your time, unless you're Tolkien, but he is an outlier. Tolkien is an outlier. But if you want to be a productive writer, like, there has to be a certain amount of simultaneous creation. There's the stuff that you're making up off on the fly. There's the stuff that you're thinking of as you go, which then later informs your work. And then there's the stuff that you figure out all the way at the end and informs your revision.
Informs your revision is an important part of that.
It's a very important part.
Wait, are you saying that the stories I write are not perfect when I first pen them? I mean, come on.
No, the stories you write? Oh no, they're perfect the way they are. You should submit them.
Just you, though. Just you.
Yeah.
Nobody else. Don't you worry. Okay, so again, let's also review, where are we on the summary, on the actual course of events? I have a question for you guys. I originally stuck these people out in the middle of the woods because I was thinking of the Cathar heresy. They did wander around fucking France and stuff like that, hiding out. But is his history, is real life too inconvenient for a story? Should I be having these people doing like a Moses situation where they're having their own religion in the middle of the city and having sort of secret whatevers.
Meetings?
Having secret meetings, having secret teaching your children this and that.
It would it would make some of the conflict snappier, probably.
Yeah.
At least make sense, yeah. Or not that it came out wrong. Like, make sense as to why things would escalate as quickly as they do.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I get it. Mm-hmm. But part of me likes the her going into this brave new world sort of thing.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, okay.
Visiting the big city for the first time.
Yeah, and going, oh, this is not like how I was taught. And there's a learning both ways and trying to balance what they think is true, what is actually true, all that stuff.
What brings her into the city then?
She found the manuals. It mentions the array.
Yeah, the comm arrays. Remember? The halo in the sky?
Well, I thought the halos in the sky, the arrays were in the city already.
Yeah, that's why she's going there. Because that's the only way that...
But where was the manual? Is the manual in the spacecraft that's hidden in the woods near her village? Okay, so we're keeping that. Awesome.
Or it could be, archived on the computer, which is the other thing she reverse engineered or something, because the comm array is one part of it or something. Who knows?
She fixed the local altar. It's brought up.
Fix the local altar?
Which is actually a computer.
Oh my god, you guys, check it out. What if our fucking space pirate was, we're not talking treasures of the seven worlds or whatever. We're talking he had a whole bunch of knockoff iPhones.
Little geisha dolls with the bobbly hats. People love those.
And what happened is he ended up giving those out or whatever to people to get them to help and so on. So a lot of these towns have these altar objects, which if you reverse engineer them, turn into iPhones or tricorders or whatever, which contain a ton of information. And that'd be a lot of fun too, actually. Just the sort of, I'm thinking of the heroine's mental thoughts as she's mental thoughts. The heroine's sort of, holy shit, I'm carrying around an altar in my pocket. If I get caught, they're gonna kill me. I'm just carrying around the god in my, what? Why is this a good idea? This is a terrible idea.
What is the point of this one thing with the birds?
Twitter? Oh, that's so strange.
So very strange.
Hashtag.
Hashtag, what is this thing?
At the gods.
Oh.
But what I'm saying is, like, what if he was, not just a space pirate, but, just one of those people who has a whole bunch of knockoff bullshit. But it seems really impressive, and it is advanced. And yeah, if you can fix it, cool. Like, maybe all it needs is a battery, which frankly is something that she could create fairly handily if she thought to herself,
There's this positive and negative thing on this altar.
Exactly.
Weird.
Yeah, I mean, to a certain degree, I would have to, I guess, go to you, Bren, to be like, could you check my science? Because technically, this is not supposed to be magic.
No. It depends on what you're trying to do, right? I mean, if it's like electronic circuits, I mean, that's easy enough to try and at least, figure like lines are broken and stuff like that. Because maybe the really complicated parts like don't degrade really. Because if you're capable of interstellar travel, maybe you have like capacitors and stuff like that won't blow up after 1,000 years or 2,000 years, whatever.
What'd be really funny is if the big thing that was stopping our space pirate from like making anything good is that they hadn't developed welding yet.
Well, it's not just welding; it's like creating like wire and stuff like that.
What if they weren't like? What if they were still in the Bronze Age, and now they finally made it to iron?
Well, copper is the big thing.
Oh, I'm sorry, my bad.
Yeah.
I don't remember when copper happened, though. I just remember that iron was like a big deal because you have to mix it up with other things or something. Like you have to add it to, you have to get tin, mix it to, I don't know. It would just be interesting or frankly, I could just change all of their names. They don't have iron and tin. Fuck that. They have unobtainium and formaldehyde. And
Formaldehyde's a real thing. Come up with something different.
Shut up. Yeah, this is the reason why I named my character Heroine, and I named the radios MacGuffins. I'm not precisely good off the cuff here.
No, names are the worst.
Oh god, they're terrible.
Yeah, I think we're all terrible at names.
Yeah.
Yeah, my go-to male name tends to be like Tim.
There are some who call me Tim.
Tim?
Well, I think Pip and Al have played D&D with me hosting before, and yeah, like it tends to be Tim this and Tim that and Tim the extra and
Tim the intern.
Tim the intern. It was
whatever happened to Tim the intern?
He died.
Did he die?
I don't remember. I just want to say he did.
I thought he quit.
I thought he was a prince.
I thought he quit.
But anyway.
Oh my god.
Oh yeah, he quit. Yeah, you guys were terrible bosses.
Tim. Officers and bosses.
No, this was a silly D&D campaign, but that's neither here nor
Fuck
there.
you, I killed a dragon.
Yes, you did.
And you still think about that, don't you?
Shut up.
Every day.
I was really proud of myself.
That was the day I rolled a natural 20.
Hey, we all have critical hit stories.
Oh.
Okay, so, alright, so it sounds like from the original, we've improved who the space people are.
Yes.
We've completely removed that big set piece from well, not removed, but changed it. There's still a nice big set piece, which is where she's like, BTW, I am the Avatar. I like the idea of her turning on all the radios simultaneously or something like that. Just making a really cool light show.
It depends on how long a story you want this to be. Part of her journey could be going to all the various villages and altars and activating them. So like the conclusion or the big climactic thing at the end is her doing a broadcast to everything at once and be like, nah, I'm in charge now.
Oh, actually, that might be a good use for her family, her Krishmates. Because that way we don't have to follow it directly. But it could be a neat thing where she's like, okay, y'all are with me? And they're like, yeah, of course we're with you. You're awesome.
We're ride or die.
And then she's like, and then it gets the whole like apostle thing going on, and that could cause problems later in the second book where people are getting too big for their britches, etc. and so forth. Cause no wars are great unless it's a family war. I think we learned that in Europe. and Asia. I think that's pretty much a given. The brother against brother. Civil wars make the best kind of wars.
So families are the worst.
Families are the worst.
Good to know for this podcast.
I mean, what? Pippi, I love you. You're my favorite.
Sure.
I mean, there is a danger in setting up too much of, a future book that may never happen. But I like the idea of her sending out her family so that way there's also a representative from this weird sect in every one of these major towns. Who can then be like, by the way, everybody, this is what's happening. I can explain it to you.
Oh man. Maybe she's also like, maybe one of the other inventions or whatever was like cameras. So like not only can she broadcast, but she can also like look at people and stuff like that.
Oh.
Which if I'm a primitive culture and all of a sudden like it's like Santa Claus being proved real, holy crap.
So to speak.
Oh. No, I mean, that would kind of stifle the holy war for a while, probably.
Exactly. But, I mean, the nice thing is, okay, so if this is a YA, which I think is a good idea, I like the idea of this having a whole lot of positive ending, but, if you can sort of see the future or see that it's a trilogy, it leaves lots of nice little hooks for things to go to shit later.
Actually, here's something I want to try and ask, Pip and Al, cause, or maybe you too, Kat, I guess. What would be the kind of, act 2, whatever, what would be the kind of the emotional low point for this character halfway through the story that, kind of leads to this great big revolution that happens right at the end? Cause frankly, to start a planet-wide revolution in which I become Space Pope, I gotta have more oomph than just, there's Spaceman and, boy, I'm good at technology. I mean, there's gotta be something that kind of gets me riled up, gets me pissed.
Well, as I mentioned, there's the going into the city, and at some point, I think she's gonna get caught. And that's when, so you come from here. Well, it looks like our Inquisition is finally going to sniff you guys out.
Oh, so then she, by going into the city, becomes the impetus for the Inquisition to find her home.
Yes.
Ooh, nice.
That wasn't what I thought you'd do. Okay, Pip, your turn.
Well, I was thinking maybe this is just because of my weird things that I like, is the danger of loss of faith. Maybe she sees that the religious leaders, as they are, don't have true faith. And that bothers her because she, does believe. Or maybe she's faced with losing faith herself. It's like, what am I doing? Why am I doing this? It's sort of a spiritual thing.
Is there any reason why we can't do both? I mean, because then it's both an interior and an exterior issue.
Yeah.
The Inquisition goes to find her family. Oh God, why hast thou forsaken me?
Nice.
God,
Oh, space pirate.
Why hast thou forsaken me? Siri, why has Space Pirate?
Yeah.
So, Bren, you asked the question. What's your thought on that?
Oh, well, that's why I asked the question. I hadn't really thought about it.
I see how it is.
Yes.
So you knew to ask the question, though. That's the important thing. Which I completely fucking forgot. Like,
that's the thing. Like, a lot of my studies and, kind of my own personal writing musings in my free time at home tend to revolve a lot more kind of like screenplay type stuff because, of course, you gotta work on stuff like that. So like I tend to try and, remind myself that like halfway through your story, you gotta have that kind of almost Nietzschean, in order to truly overcome anything, you have to get to that low point first. I think it was like Nietzsche's, in order to you must go under in order to overcome. It's that kind of notion there. So
that's
kind of something I've been. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, what's really fascinating is that this is part of the reason why I really like talking to you guys is because we all have a common language. What with growing up together.
What?
But due to, life experiences and the shit we've gone through along the way, we also have different approaches to, and of course brain chemistry or whatever. Mm-hmm. We have different approaches to how to do the same thing. And so I know for a fact that I personally, am a lot more, you'd think that I'd follow beat sheets or what have you, comment like Act 1, Act 2, Act 3, because I like having structure like that. But if I ask myself deep in my soul, what my real deal is, I tend to aim toward a final image. I know that I start at a point of change. Mm-hmm. And I have to have a series of adventures. But I'm aiming, yeah, exactly. But I'm aiming toward just a big central image, like a big point at the end. And sometimes that's how I title my titles when I'm working. I had a working title that was, and then somehow making out.
Now here's the thing. What was the working title for this story? Holy shit, hovercraft?
Weirdly, here's the thing. I come up with those working titles right before I start working. Mm-hmm. So I did not put pen to paper, but I was looking as I was writing, as I was doing my plot noodling. I was looking for an image to aim toward. Mm-hmm. And so as I was going through writing the synopsis, I'm like, I loved that. And you can really, for me, it's really about picturing it. And I almost start looking at all the props that are in my mental picture and being like, okay, what do I need to do to make that prop appear? What do I need to do to make that prop contextually correct? And almost backfilling from there, sometimes changing the synopsis I just wrote just so I can make that final scene make sense. And so I crave structure, but I'm a little bit, reckless as fuck. But I don't think in terms of character arcs, and that's actually one of my big failings. It's, to me, oh yeah, go.
I did make a couple of notes about the, kind of character arc for at least the, main character there, Again, her major character failing is kind of that maybe that hubris moment of like, mm-hmm. Oh, I'm clearly very gifted and talented. Everybody says so. And, she is mm-hmm. so. It's just that doesn't get you everywhere. And then, people with guns.
Sometimes it's not enough. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. You get by with
and
all the
of course, what does that mean?
Yeah.
Well, also, and then it becomes a, what is, you can think that you're like the bee's knees in terms mm-hmm. of your religion, but does that actually make you a good person?
Yeah. Two different things.
And I realize a lot of, exactly.
To that point, the one thing I think is kind of lacking, if you're gonna push a lot of the, kind of faith elements in this, what does it mean to be a good person in this, religion? It doesn't have to be a major, driving thing in the story, but if, you have a person who's going to be faithful to this, what does mm-hmm. it mean to be a good Bobist or piratist or however we want to call it? I mean, because in some way or another, like at least a set of morals or whatever core mm-hmm. values were established that are grounded in a way that we're kind of set up to have everybody get along and, not be dicks to each other.
And should be rooted in whatever came before piratism.
Yeah.
Because this is going to be something that overlaid the previous, whatever was going on. So,
yeah, I definitely recommend fleshing that out mm-hmm. considerably, even if it doesn't, become directly referenced in the material. It should flavor how any character who grew up on this planet would behave, and it would also be accented by the stark contrast that the, roguish treasure hunter who comes by later kind of serves as maybe a contrast to all that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I mean,
no, I agree.
I mean, maybe one of the core tenets is like the free sharing of ideas and stuff like that, but maybe that doesn't work because of the whole entire Inquisition thing, but.
That starts getting a little Heinlein, like, and now free love!
Ain't nothing wrong with Heinlein.
There's a lot wrong with Heinlein.
Let's not pick fights with Heinlein Society right now.
Hey, Heinlein Society, meet me outside. I hear what you're saying on that. And, well, here, let me ask, let me throw this back at, not you, because you're the one who brought it up. Let me throw this at Pip and Al, because I know what I started with, and I'd like to see what y'all think. What do you think should be the core tenets in order to create the plot that we have worked out now? Backwards engineer. What does that mean?
Reverse it. Well,
reverse engineer. Okay, whatever. Reverse engineer it to figure out what the precepts are. Suggestions?
Well, yes, you have to know what was there before the pirate showed up. And also, we're starting...
Squid God.
We have...
Space pirate with his great 8 arms.
Oh, man. Working the eightfold path.
And his ink.
So what I'm thinking is that our heroine is a slightly different sect than the main religion. Yeah. So you have to figure out what not only just what came before piratism, but what the beginning of piratism was and how it split off.
Oh God.
Well,
I'm gonna have to come up with the fucking Council of Nicaea, aren't I?
Yep.
Yeah.
Well,
even if it never appears in the book, I gotta write the Council of Nicaea.
It could be something a lot simpler, though. I mean, I brought up in the thing I was talking about before, it could have been just something as simple as they messed around with the technology too much and shit happened. Like maybe they overloaded a power reactor, or who knows.
There was a calamity.
Well,
a great calamity or a great war.
That could be actually the third point. So you have what came before, you have the actual pirate, whatever they're working with there, and then you have that third point where it did the proper schism to have we can't have the space blaster technology anymore. But what our sect is in that in-between point, when piratism was in its true state. Being affected by the previous religion, but not adhering to what came after the schism. In fact, that they are the other half or other part of the schism.
Yeah.
Which does take into account heresies. That's what happened in the Council of Nicaea. A whole bunch of those heresies were things that didn't give a fuck about what happened with Nicaea. As opposed to after Nicaea, now you have main Catholicism. 3-in-1. Mary's cool. Stuff like that.
There was a calamity involving the technology that the pirate left. Either the calamity or a war. The point is people died. And it was decided that this technology was too dangerous and no one is allowed to use it.
Oh man.
Or touch it.
Maybe that's... Oh, sorry.
Or touch it, except for the holy ones who can, at least look at it. And then there's the sect in the woods, who are like, no, fuck you, we love technology.
Well, guys, do you remember, this shows up in, some Native American stuff and definitely shows up in, some Middle Eastern stuff. The idea that you can't make something perfect, because only God can do that.
True facts.
So you have to, purposefully create imperfections. Well, what if they did something like that? Like, well, the perfect version of this is what kills us all. So clearly it's something that's meant for the gods only. And, and meanwhile, there's our little sect being like, fuck this. Here's 54 reasons why fuck you.
54 reasons why fuck you cannot be the title of this episode.
Oh my god, yes it can. No, I think what we had is Spaceman 2 Boogaloo.
Yeah.
Spaceman 2 Electric Boogaloo, yes.
Speaking of... Oh, yeah, go.
No, go.
Speaking of titles, what do we know what the title of this is?
Oh, titles. So, I guess it can't be Spaceman 2, Electric Boogaloo. Al, you brought it up. What's your first title that comes to your head?
Just simple. God's Design.
Oh man! And that gets into the sequel, Realm of the Gods. I'm going to actually write that down. That's really good. I realize we're going to have a transcript later, which makes this kind of redundant.
Well, just to also make sure you don't stomp on, Tamora Pierce's, story there, you could, sub out, gods directly for like maybe Maker instead, so it could be the Maker's Eye, which is also, I guess it's a playing card that in a game I play, but whatever. But like, I don't know.
Okay, so here's
something to think about.
Let's deal with this issue of
God's Design and then God's
titles. Domain. God's Domain. Love it. But let's momentarily here deal with the concept of repetitive titles. So the biggest issue I see with repetitive titles literally is that, one, if you type it into Amazon, you're going to get maybe not your book.
Yeah.
And that's bad.
Big problem.
You want it to be your book.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, the creative level of titles is not, I love titles. I love them to pieces, but it's not necessarily the end-all be-all for me. There's a story I'm planning that, is very ridiculous, about a young woman space traveler who crashes on a planet filled with, male aliens. It is humor. It's a comedy. But I want to call it, The Virgin Planet, which in and of it, cause it's that kind of story, but in and of itself, that is a callback to a Frederick Pohl book called Virgin Planet, which is where a young man pops down onto a planet and it's filled with young women. Young women aliens. Exactly. So it's an inversion of it. It's the same title, essentially, but it's an inversion of it. So it's a callback. And I don't particularly mind if people want to go read the Frederick Pohl story instead, because it's a good book. But, my concerns are generally, is this going to be something that is going to be mistaken for somebody else's book? And not have it be too generic. So I understand other people have other concerns, like, oh, does this actually say fantasy to you? Does it actually say science fiction to you? This is blah, 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 blah. To me, it's really about, the level of originality, in regard to sales. I'm sorry, that's very base. Beyond that, if I'm trying to figure out something, I look at themes and just make something up from there.
Okay.
Which is different from what I feel like God's Design and God's Domain is not really theme. It speaks to sort of the secret of the universe.
Well, also just to make sure you don't get it confused for, Christian fiction.
Yeah. That's actually
that's
why I'm a little hesitant to call it makers, because I feel like that's related to, like, intelligent design. Actually, God's Design does that too. Yeah, fuck.
Well, if it's the God's Design instead of God's Design, then...
Or a God's Design?
I think the works a little bit better.
No, the definitely cements it.
Okay. So, what do you guys do when you're trying to come up with titles? I just mentioned that I do theme and I then do a Google search. But...
I putz around until something calls to me. What sounds cool on a piece of paper?
Everything I write gets called untitled subject fic, because usually I'm writing fan fiction.
Okay.
So it's like untitled Yuri on Ice fic, that sort of thing.
Okay.
And in the event it ever makes it online, or this is also how I titled papers in school, is I stole song lyrics as is classic. Or quotes from within whatever I was writing papers about. I have a Sherlock fic that occasionally still gets kudos.
Nice.
Just gonna slide that brag in there. Probably shouldn't, nothing to be proud of. But
it's everything to be proud of. There's no shame in fanfic. Keep going.
A Sherlock fanfic?
Okay, a little shame.
Moving on.
A little shame.
But what I did for that is I looked up quotes about love on Wikiquote.
Legitimate.
And scrolled through. found something that vaguely worked.
As I recall, weirdly, that actually did work really well. That's a great title, as I recall.
Yeah, I'm not going to say it, because I'll tell you guys later.
Actually, if we're going to talk about how we name fanfic, I weirdly name it much differently than I do my professional stuff. I'm much more of the lengthy titles. I really like long titles when I'm doing fanfic. And I kind of wish I could do that with, I think Catherine Valente did that with, the girl who built a ship to fly across fairyland. It's like 10 words. And I will link it correctly in the show notes. But, I love really long titles, and they seem to come more easily to me, when I'm titling fanfic, because I think I don't care as much. Whereas I'm deeply concerned about being a very serious professional author, when I'm titling something I could potentially sell.
Anyway.
I remember one time, I was going to tell an anecdote.
Okay.
I remember one time in like high school, I was having trouble naming a paper.
Mm-hmm.
And I went to mom and dad for advice.
Yeah.
And dad was just like, just steal your favorite line from Hamlet. And I was like, you know what? I don't think incestuous, murderous, damned Dane is going to work for this.
Then you clearly wrote your paper wrong.
Listen, there's a part of me, every time I write something, who's all like, is incestuous, murderous, damned Dane going to work?
Well, so here, you should do my method where you title what you're aiming toward. So, and then somehow, murderous, damned, incestuous Dane.
We all need murderous Danes in our lives.
Damned. Murderous damned.
Damned. Sorry. Yes.
You gotta get that Ed in there.
So Pip, on that note, what would you name this piece?
Well, again, is incestuous, murderous, damned Dane going to work? No, probably
No,
not.
I don't think so. We'll save it for the sequel.
Book 3 in the trilogy.
Yes, the book 3.
The God's design, the God's realm, incestuous, murderous, damned Dane.
It fits so perfectly.
Right?
They came from the space Netherlands. So yeah, if it's first thought that comes to your head, Pip, what would you call it?
Here's the thing, like I said, everything becomes untitled what the foo until I can look at some song lyrics.
Okay, pick a song lyric, man. Is this gonna be To the Moon and Back?
Oh man, it should be.
If You'll Be My Baby? That's it, what is in parentheses. Oh, my poor cat. Oh, you know what? The cat's sounding the gong, I think.
I'll chime in with my,
Do it.
You do your title, because you clearly have one.
Shit, I forgot. I forgot to make a title on all this, believe it or not, because I run into the same problem where I suck at titling.
I think we should all just sit back and admit that Alex came up with the perfect title.
He really did. Well, here's the thing. Also, do you guys have any... Alright, never mind. I'm just gonna tell you straight up what I do. I will, and Alex can attest to this, because I did this in front of him. I will just start putting title after title after title, mixing around words, putting around things until I come across something that sounds right. I did this with, the first book I co-authored with someone, and I did this with a story that Alex is working on. And that's, and somehow, you know, in the middle of a whole bunch of garbage, you get something that works. So I'm looking at, and we sort of did that verbally when we're doing God's design, Maker's design, Realm of the Gods. No, we can't do that. Can't realm. God's realm. God's domain. When we were doing that, except this one, when I do it on paper. I do the whole list. And then somehow, it keeps me focused and brings good results. None of this, however, tells us what Brendan's title is.
Oh, well, what I'd want to at least tie into is just that, just, because a big thing that happens is just this kind of aspect of like discovery and stuff like that. I don't know if that can somehow, tie in. I suck at this.
No. Be okay. Dude, you're working on it. So we have discovery.
Well, cause it's, you know, rediscovering something ancient, but, you know, I don't know, discovered enlightenment or, I don't know. Yeah,
draw from your experience, with programming and engineering.
Oh yeah. No, seriously. Do you have any?
Aren't there
no.
Are there
that's the thing that you can do, we can't.
Yeah, aren't there inside terminology? You talking about mysterious things that happen when you're programming or
WTFM
designing.
I'm sorry, RTFM. That's what it is.
Oh, read the fucking manual.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. There is that.
Oh my god, can you imagine if that was the title? Just RTFM.
Manual to the Stars.
Ooh.
But that kind of that breaks the reveal
Oh, you're right.
partway
Yeah, that
through.
tips the hand a bit.
No, good call. Good call.
What's a synonym for manual? Manual to the heavens.
We're wordsmiths.
Yes. We know words.
We don't worry. I'll cut this bit out.
No, this is. I like this. This is fun.
Here's the thing. Yeah. Here's the thing. I'm still trying to think of a title that would shorten to RTFM.
Oh my god! If that was the acronym.
Yeah.
Okay. Wait. RTFM. We have a T. That's going to be the.
Reaching the.
Okay. Reaching
the far morning.
Holy shit!
Oh,
yes,
shit.
Holy fucking shit.
And you say
fucking plus.
And you say you're bad at this?
Well, I was given guidelines.
No, but this is how it works. This is how you come up with this shit. That is beautiful. I'm not even joking. That is amazing. And I love the idea of it being an acronym because I'm all about putting stupid jokes into stuff.
Well, because here's the thing. Maybe the Space Pirates' original ship was the Far Morning.
Oh my god!
Yes.
Oh my god, we're so good.
Not to pat ourselves on the back, but
No, you know what? I'm going to say this right now for listeners. This is actually a very important part of the writing process where you get just so completely enamored with what you're doing. You're like, I am a golden god. And you have to suck up this feeling now. Feel it, experience it, love it now, because there will come a point as you're writing about halfway through where you're like, everything is terrible. The world is awful. I never want to write again. And this is all boring bullshit. Reach back to this feeling of excitement where everything seemed beautiful and golden. This is why I take notes of my beautiful golden stuff, because then I can go back, I can reread, and I can get excited again and not get lost in the weeds.
Cat.
And then your editor tells you it's an awful title and you feel bad, but...
Oh, editors. It's a different deal.
So after all this, do you kind of want to write this now?
I kind of do. You know, because to be fair, I did write the synopsis, just because we needed to have another episode. We really wanted to showcase what we want to be seeing from, listeners, and then what we would do with listener submissions to a certain degree. And, you know, so I didn't have a lot invested in it, to be fair. Obviously I tried my hardest to, you know, have a good idea to give you guys. But one of the great things about workshopping, going through this, really thinking about it, is that I'm sitting here being like, well, fuck, I bet I could write this right now. I want to send it to you guys. I want people to read this. This sounds great. You've all been spoiled for it, but fuck you. It'll be
Check
fun.
the website later.
Indeed. And for
Chapter 1 coming soon.
For $5.99, you too can have the book that was created through Lulu.com. Yeah, well, wouldn't that be fun though? So yeah, that's the joy of this, honestly. This is why it's so much fun to come up with ideas, to fuck around with them, is because you get to have that beautiful, beautiful gold feeling of like, this is something that I need to tell people, I need to think about, I want to play with, and then I want to have something really, really cool to show other people. And like, so yeah, I have this motivation now. I want to make this really, really cool thing because I want to show off Pippin's reaching the Far Morning. That's great. I want Far Morning to be the pirate ship's name. I want it to be a pirate ship. I don't even remember who came up with that. Who did the pirate thing? Was it you, Brendan?
Yeah, but that was Brendan.
I think.
That was, okay. I mean, that was great. The arrays, I want the arrays. This is all so cool. And I want to show that off. And that wanting to share your story, wanting to share what you've written, that's where writing is, man. That's the sweet spot. Otherwise, you're going to be Emily Dickinson writing poems and stuffing them in your drawer, which is not to downplay Emily Dickinson. She was probably, fine with that. But if you're going to be a working writer, you better find the source of joy. And you better find this wish to broadcast your stuff, because that's the only way you're going to make any money at this.
It's also the only way you're going to motivate yourself to finish.
That too. Which is...
Yeah, for those of you listening at home, keep on writing your stuff. I mean, just because you can, want to try and, get it published, sold and all that. But just getting to the end at all is
victory.
Really,
it's
it's a victory.
It's amazing. Yeah. You will never feel high as, I've never done drugs, so I actually don't know. But I like to think that, it's a truly incomparable feeling. And, the last book I was writing, I was in like this beautiful fog for the last, the last week of writing it. And I was like pumping out pages like you wouldn't believe, because I could see it all finally coming together. I was moving towards that really big reveal, because I always aim for one. It's absolutely beautiful and glorious. It's the best thing.
Cool.
Yeah.
So, I think that's a great note to wrap things up on then.
Awesome. Do you want to do the end whatever?
Let me see if I can find it.
Join us next time when we will be looking at the incomparable and yet incredibly hilarious William Shakespeare's Macbeth. You thought that maybe there was no way to change that, make it better, make it worse. Oh, you fools. There's so much to talk about.
Yeah, I thought we weren't supposed to call it Macbeth.
Guys.
The Scottish
way.
I don't know about you guys, but me and Al haven't said it yet.
That's
fuck.
Yeah, there's gonna be some Final Destination stuff here.
Oh, no, guys. So, as my last show, I will that
join me and Alex next time.
Yeah, and as always, you saw a little bit what we are looking for from listeners. Check out what got put on the website with regard to synopsis. Look at our submission guidelines. And, please send us your ideas. They can be wild. It could be straightforward. And we'll take it and we'll run with it.
As always, if you have a story to submit, head on over to nostoriessacred.com/submission. Follow us on Twitter at nostoriessacred, or send an email through contact@nostoriessacred.com. Your hosts have been Pippin, Alex, Brendan, and Kat. Editing for this episode was done by Brendan MacDonald. Transcript done by Ashley DaCosta. Our artwork is done by Jay Wolfe. Show notes and transcript are available at nostoriessacred.com. Thanks for listening, everyone. See you next time when we talk about and take apart Shakespeare's tragedy, Macbeth. Until then, we're No Story is Sacred, and any story can be changed. I'm Pippin.
I'm Kat.
I'm Brendan.
And this was Alex.
And we're
No Story is Sacred.